I hooked up with. Drew Yang, that's who I hooked up with. Drew Yang, that's who I hooked up with.
There's no place to hide now that he's arrived. I'm saying he ain't playing now with this campaign. Bang, dang, is, and Drew, come roll with the Yang Gang. He's the one I'm endorsing.
What's up, fellow humans? I'm coming to you from my car since I have such a long drive to and from work. I figured I'd maximize my time and just vlog during my ride. So anyway, that's why I'm driving. I'm not going anywhere in particular, but in this vlog, I'm going to be talking about going to Iowa this past weekend for the Yangapalooza rally and for the Liberty and Justice celebration that was held at the Wells Fargo Arena. And man, it was really cool. It was awesome. I was pretty excited just to go up because I was going up with other St. Louis Yang Gang members, and in addition to myself, two people rode with me in the car, and Lenny and Nico, thanks for coming. And then we also had another St. Louis Yang Gang member, James, that went up, and we also had another St. Louis Yang Gang member go up. His name was Asif, and he was actually mentioned in a news article that I read just today about the Liberty and Justice celebration. So they kind of like gave him a shout out as well, so that was pretty cool. So shout out to Asif. Yeah, you're cool. Of course you're cool. You're down with Andrew Yang, so there's no questions there. You're down with Andrew Yang. You're I can hang you with you. And yeah, that's something that I want to mention, is just because, like, okay, so I got up there Thursday night, and it was almost overwhelming because I kept getting phone calls. Me, Nico, and Eleni, we were grabbing some food because we were super hungry. We got up there later than what I would have liked to have been up there for. I guess there was a Halloween costume contest. I still wore my costume out, which was like this, I was calling it a Yang Bunny. So the Yang Bucks, Yang Bunny, kind of, yeah, I have pink Yang Bucks, so pink bunny, whatever. Anyway, so by the time that we got there and we were grabbing food, I was getting phone calls like, hey, where are you at? We're all hanging out here at this place and you should come hang. So when we were done eating, we just walked over a couple blocks to where they were at. And the first thing that I saw was Fred's giant Truckers for Yang truck. And it was just like awe-inspiring to see it in real life. I mean, I've seen it on social media so many times now, and it was really cool to be able to see it and to have an opportunity to get inside of Fred's truck. And I've never been inside of a truck like that before, so it's pretty cool and a lot more roomier than what I thought on the inside. I don't know how many people that they can hold, but I felt like it was like a dang clown car because they just kept shoving so many Yang Gang members in there, so it was pretty neat. But like inside the bar, it was kind of overwhelming because I'm sitting there watching like all these people that I watch on like YouTube, or I like read their posts online, and you know, everybody is like coming up to you and like shaking your hand and doing introductions, and my brain is just getting like overloaded with names. And but it was like the best kind of like overload / anxiety that you can get, because like everybody there was Yang Gang, and I don't know if you've experienced this or not. Like, if you've been around other Yang Gang members, even if you don't know them, there's this instant connection that you have, and we're all like a part of this thing that is bigger than us. And so it's just, there's a lot of like love and excitement, and yeah, it was nuts. Like, I just wanted to stay out all night, but the next day we were supposed to be at the skating rink for the rally at like 7:30 a.m. to volunteer, and it was already like 1 a.m. So we decided to go back and get a little bit of sleep. Otherwise, that next day it was so long with zero sleep. I would not be able to function because I work long work weeks, and last week I had to work extra long to be able to get off to go to Iowa. So before I even left for Iowa, I was zonked. So whenever I got to Iowa, I was still zonked and not re-energized. But just the excitement of being there was enough to like kind of keep me going. Yeah, and then so the next morning, we showed up at the skating rink, and they had volunteer sign-ups. So we signed up for volunteering. The weather was cold. The weather was rainy. It was a lot like what is going on here, if you can tell what's going on through the window. But it was just it was pretty miserable. I had like 2 pairs of pants on. I had 2 different sweatshirts, a button-up shirt, 2 different t-shirts, plus a winter jacket. So I was like sweaty and cold at the same time, and it was a thing. I was not the most fashionable. I didn't have that day either, because it wasn't about fashion. It was just about staying warm. Yeah, so after we signed up, they broke us up into different teams. Different teams had different duties, and I pulled multiple duties. So one of my main duties was I was the first aid guy for the event, and they gave me this first aid kit, and the first thing that I did with the first aid kit was go through it, make sure that I understood everything that was available to me within that kit. And but then the hope is that like you never have to use it. I did have to use it. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But yeah, so there was that. So that was one assignment that I had, but then the other assignment I lumped in, and I was helping with the merch. So we had some pretty cool incentives for people that were at the rally. If you signed up and made a pledge to volunteer for the Andrew Yang campaign in Iowa, we would then in turn give you a wristband, and that wristband would allow you to come to our tent and get a free math hat or a free t-shirt. So that was super cool, because those hats now I think are $35 online with donation. And then if you wanted one, you'd have to donate online and then wait for that to get shipped to you. So the fact that you're able to get that hat then and there, and to not have to pay for it just for volunteering that was pretty awesome and special. So I think we gave out 1,000 hats. So that's 1,000 people that signed up to volunteer or were already volunteers for the event. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I'm not sure how many shirts that we gave out, but we gave out a good amount of t-shirts. And they're actually my favorite Yang 2020 shirts. They were just the gray shirts with the Yang 2020 on them. That is currently my favorite shirt for the Yang campaign. So that was cool. The event was great. There was a number of music acts, and they were actually a lot of Yang Gang related music acts with fans of Andrew Yang that played music that they wrote for the campaign and whatnot. So that was cool to see. Also, we got to see Weezer. I am a longtime fan of Weezer. Back in the day, I had the Blue album on cassette, and I played the heck out of that cassette tape. And so that was kind of special to be able to see Rivers and his friends playing with him. And they did kind of like a quasi acoustic set. It was like Rivers on acoustic, then they had electric bass and drums and accompanied vocals. So that was pretty special. So that was grooving. I thought we'd just see Rivers up there with his acoustic, which would have been a-okay with me, but this was even better. So that was nice. And the fact that we still had our rally with that weather was pretty spectacular, because all other campaigns canceled their major rallies with the exception of Pete Buttigieg. And then I also happened to watch Beto O'Rourke give his concession speech, and he gave that in a small park outside of the Wells Fargo Arena. So I wouldn't consider that a rally at all, but that was definitely a thing. So after Weezer was done playing, or actually the last song of their set, Say It Ain't So, Andrew came out, and that was pretty cool because he says right off the bat, what did he say? It was like something along the lines of, you don't look like the fucking internet to me, Iowa, or something like that. That was great. I loved it. I love it when Andrew brings that kind of energy, and it definitely like invigorated myself and a number of other people in the crowd. And then he introduced his wife Evelyn, which was super nice. I just love that Andrew is like such like a dedicated family man, and just to see her out there, even like in that crummy weather, just to be able to address us, the Yang Gang. That was pretty special, and we were able to sing happy birthday to her, and yeah, so like that was a really good rally there. That was the biggest Iowa rally that I've ever seen for Andrew in this past summer, from July, July, August, September. Those 3 months, like I spent volunteering for the Andrew Yang campaign, and I went to a number of rallies and town hall meetings and whatnot throughout the state, and this was the largest Iowa meeting of sorts for Andrew Yang that I've ever seen. So that was pretty special to be a part of that. And just to know that people flew in from all over the country. We had LA, we had New York, and everything in between. So it was really, really, really special. And then following the rally, everybody grouped together. We had signs, we had chants, and then we went outside, and then we marched. We marched down the street. We marched across a bridge. We marched to a park, and there was a small little hill. And at the top of the hill, Andrew gave another speech, and then he just kind of like had time to commune with the Yang Gang and take pictures or sign items or just answer a question if you had a question for Andrew. And Andrew is very receptive too, so like I love that there's these little opportunities for somebody to share something that might be on their mind, or just to give a word of encouragement to Andrew, and his wife was there as well. And there was media covering, and that was pretty special too. And I just saw the little clip that Showtime had, which I was pretty excited to see because I saw them filming when I was there. And yeah, so I guess they did some clips for an episode of The Circus, which I really want to see, because that like teaser clip is so good, because Andrew talks about pouring gasoline on the fire that is the Yang Gang, and I'm excited about that. Like, I'm really excited about that. So the campaign right now is just like, it is leveling up in such a good way, and yeah, I'm just excited to see where we go from here. I have 100% faith that Andrew is going all the way. It's not going to be easy, and every single one of us needs to take it upon ourselves to be able to make this happen, because we have to reach people on our own. And if we're not taking ownership of this campaign, which is not just Andrew's campaign, this is all of our campaign. So like, we have to take this on ourselves. But I believe that Andrew will be, when it's all said and done, he will be our president in the United States of America. So I'm so excited about that. Anyway, so after the rally, after the march, and then the pit stop at the park and the other speech, the march continued into the Wells Fargo Arena, and it was just like a massive onslaught of Yang Gang, just like all coming together and chanting and just really announcing, hey, we are the Yang Gang, we are here. like you could not, like, there was no question like, oh, who are these people here to see? Like, no, this is the Yang Gang. We are here for Andrew. And our section was all the way up in the nosebleeds, and I can't believe that the Democratic Party in the Wells Fargo Arena allowed Pete Buttigieg to completely troll our section, because they sold him 2 rows at the top of each of our section just to troll us. So they had these Pete Buttigieg people up there, and it was so annoying. But even though we were small, we were very mighty, and we had these cool like light up like banging things and foamy things, and somebody, I don't know who started it, but like it caught on like that. They were like, oh hey, we could take 3 of them and make a Y, and then so these like lit up Ys, and everybody was like chanting at the top of their lungs, like during the celebration. Like for the next day, I lost my voice. My voice is still not like fully back, and it is today is like Wednesday. So it's almost, we're pushing a week afterwards, and like my voice is still not all the way back. But yeah, it was just such a good event. It was so awesome to see Andrew come out, and he had very good placement. Like in the lineup for the night, he was like right in between like the front leading like heavy hitters, and he gave the best speech of the night, hands down. There's no question. Andrew's speech was the #1 speech, and we had so many people coming up to us afterwards telling us that. We had somebody from Kamala's camp, and they were like, hey, Andrew gave the best speech tonight. And I heard it from some Buttigieg supporters, and a few other people were just like, wow, like Andrew tonight like gave the best speech, and he actually had a speech of substance. Everybody else, like, you know, they talk in these platitudes, and they just like say things that sound nice, but it's like you're sitting there, and if you're thinking about the speeches, which like I think about everything that I'm listening to, and it's like, but where's the substance? You know, that like so many people lack substance in their speech, but Andrew's talking directly to the Iowan people, and he's talking to them like in a very like matter of fact, like this is the situation that we are in, and this is what I want to do about it, and this is how we can get to a better place for our family and for our children's sake. And man, it was powerful. It really was. Like they only had like 10 minutes to speak. Pete Buttigieg went over by like 3 minutes because we could watch the clock from where we're at on their teleprompter. It was this huge like giant teleprompter, but we were like from our bird's eye view, we could see you know, the times and like when people would go over and stuff. Andrew didn't go over his time. And anyway, and then freaking Elizabeth Warren spent the majority, a big portion of her time talking about some toaster, and completely lost like a number of people on like this whole like toaster thing. Like you're so limited on the amount of time that you can speak at like such like a prestigious event, and you go and you just like waste like X amount of time. At least 3 minutes she like wasted talking about some toaster, and yeah, that no bueno. Sorry, Warren, but man, I wish you could redo that. Well, no, I mean I wanted somebody to flop. You know, we need all the help that we can get in this stage right now. But yeah, I don't know, just like being there was such a special thing. And then like when Andrew was done with his speech, there's this long runway, and as he like walked off the runway, everybody kept chanting, the Yang gang in our sections kept chanting just simply Andrew Yang, Andrew Yang, and I was screaming so loud, but I didn't want to stop. You know, like sometimes you want to chant a few times and then just like, oh, that's it. But it's like I didn't want to stop cheering Andrew Yang until he was completely off that catwalk. Like that was my like little mini mission, was to keep cheering until he was, and we did. Like we cheered until he was at the very end, and it was very, very, very special. And then afterwards, after the event, there was an after party that was held just for the Yang Gang and volunteers. And Andrew came and he gave a speech, and I actually ended up showing up after his speech, so I didn't get to hear it. But I heard it was like very heartfelt, and like an intimate vibe, and the setting, the place was really cool. I know I have footage of that, so you'll be seeing that here in this video. You're probably watching it right now. I'll clip over top and whatnot, but it was really, really cool just to be able to kind of like commune with everyone afterwards and kind of like breathe that like feeling of relief of like, hey, the day's done and now we can just kind of like hang out and let loose a little bit. But I'm so thankful for the Yang Gang family, and I'm sorry if I didn't get to speak to as many of you as I'd like, but I mean, I was just so exhausted. But I did get to talk to a number of people that came out for the event, especially since I was at the merch table. So like I definitely made it a point to like, you know, try to like be a little bit more like engaging with the conversation other than just here's a hat, take a hat, you know. So like I definitely like to ask like, oh, hey, you know, where are you coming from, and you know, what's your area, and you know, this or that, or like, you know, ask you about like your Yang story, and because everybody's story is different, and so I just like to, you know, kind of like hear where everybody's coming from, and it's just such a good feeling, and then decompressing later and like going back through everybody's like live feeds, and I wasn't even on my phone the majority of the day and stuff, and there was just like so many communications like coming out, and so many things like blowing up on Twitter, and all the live streams and whatnot. But like after I was able to come back and go home and stuff, I was able to kind of like, you know, go through all that and decompress, and like I have so many like thoughts going in my mind, but like one big thing that is pressing is just to get back to Iowa to canvas and to be able to, you know, make a mark in that state. And you know, there's a movement right now going on, and I'll put a link down so that you can sign up for Yang Week, and what they're trying to do is just get as many people from the Yang Gang together to be able to go to Iowa for a full week and just camp, like just go through and like, I said camp, but just canvas, just go through and canvas for the Andrew Yang campaign. And I think that's a great idea, and it's about like not just going to the major cities, but like going to the rural areas and like the smaller communities and talking to people there, because everybody goes to the main, like all the campaigns go to the main cities and stuff, but it's about like getting outside of those cities and into the smaller counties and talking to people, because some of these counties maybe only have a couple people that show up for a caucus. So if you can get a few more people on board to caucus, like you can overtake, you know, those people's you know, candidates that they're trying to caucus for. So it's like we're not talking about like needing like tons of people to make a difference. It's about just a few people in different like pockets of the state can really turn this campaign around, and like no polls are going to be able to predict that you know, kind of an outcome. So it's like, you know, this is all about groundwork, going out there and just like sharing your passion for Andrew Yang, just telling people about him. And the majority of people that I've talked to about Andrew Yang, they're not mad about it. They're interested. They want to hear, you know, what he has to offer. Not everybody, you know, might think that, you know, he's got like the chance to win, or because they don't know him, they're like, well, he's not one of the big front runners. But that doesn't matter. And, you know, I'll go through my thing and talk about it, you know, with them. And so, actually, on the way home from Iowa, Nico, Eleni, and we stopped at a Hy-Vee in Fairfield, I believe it was, which is a little bit of a smaller town. It's definitely smaller than Des Moines, but it's not like a big city or anything. But so we went to the Hy-Vee, and the Hy-Vees in Iowa are actually a pretty cool spot to like grab some food, because they have like different types of food available, and they have like a little restaurant area. When you're done, they kind of bust your stuff. So it's like, I don't know, it's like a spot, like you'll see a lot of people from town there, so like it's a good place to like meet people. Anyway, we had a group of women that called us over, and well, they called over Nico and Eleni, and they're like, hey, Andrew Yang people, come over here. And eventually I went over and I sat with them as well, and we talked. But Yeah, like, so they were like some members of the school board there, and they were also members of the county Democratic seat or whatever for that area, and they wanted to hear about Andrew Yang, and they've heard him speak before, some of the people at the table, and they had some questions and concerns in relations to vouchers for like schools and for charter schools, and that was like a big deal. And so they thought that Andrew Yang was for vouchers for charter schools, but like I knew right off the bat that like that wasn't exactly right. I've never heard him say specifically that he was like for that. I know that he said that he is for good schools, he's pro good schools, and I know that kind of like lends to being outside of just public schools. But like I didn't want to tell them that they were like straight up wrong, because that's not how you yang somebody, by telling them they're wrong. But we were able to like go through the conversation, and they even were looking up on their phone and stuff, and they figured out, like, we kind of were able to like lead them to figure out that Andrew Yang doesn't have like an official stance on that, but you know, maybe we can like reach out to the campaign and see, because I feel like it seemed like it made a difference to them, and if there was like an official stance on it, that could, like, you know, help solidify some extra votes in Iowa for people that are concerned about the public school systems and the use of tax money and public money for schools that are not public. So that was like a major concern with this group of women, and thankfully we were able to have like some extra merch with us. So the woman that was like the chair of the Jefferson County Democrats or whatever, we gave her a math hat because she really wanted one, and so I'm not going to deny her that. So that night, I guess she has like a barn, and she has like different candidates come and speak at it, which she really wants Andrew to come speak at. So maybe we can make that happen. That would be cool. But Tom Steyer that night was set to speak at her barn. So I told her, I gave her that hat, and I was like, you better wear this in front of Tom Steyer. And she said she was going to have a lot of fun with it. So I don't know if she ended up wearing it that night or whatnot, but I hope she does get plenty of use out of it. And I wouldn't mind going back to Fairfield and hooking up with them again, and just like talking to other people within that community. But so like that's something that is on my mind. I want to go through and on like my off days and go back up to Iowa and just hit up like more areas in campus, and just to be able to like share about it. But so I think I kind of got sidetracked. So like Yang Week, I'm gonna put a link down below so that you can like click it and sign up for Yang Week. I think the last I saw, there's like 400 people that are signed up to go, and I think they're accepting like donations too. So if you want to donate to the cause, they're just gonna like help with like housing and like transportation and just making sure that we're able to get around the state and do what we need to do. So that's really cool. So if you can't come, maybe you can donate, but really donate to the campaign. I'm going to have a link down for the campaign donations. This quarter, we're trying to hit 30 million. That is going to be a big milestone if we can reach that. I just want to say that I have a link down below where you can actually donate money to the Andrew Yang campaign. This quarter is going to be very important to try to hit this $30 million mark. I know it's not like official. I know it's not official campaign goal right now, but it is a goal that the Yang Gang is setting to really make sure that we're able to send Andrew Yang to the White House, because we need a big number to be able to compete with the big boys, and we want to make a statement. We want the media to finally be on Andrew Yang's side and to push him. And like, I don't understand, like, if I was a media outlet, I would have wanted to just like show his story. His whole story, like this whole way through the campaign, is like one of the best stories like ever, like for a campaign, and it's so like compelling and just like awesome to dive into. Like, why would you not want to cover that story? Well, a number of the networks I feel like have, like, I've seen them at so many different events, and I know there's footage out there, but they're just not putting it out there. So at some point it'd be really cool for somebody to like piece all this together and be like, hey, Andrew Yang's story, retrospect, whatever. Now here he is blowing us away, with $30 million in this next quarter. So I don't know. We're just trying to do that for him, and just we want it to be undeniable that Andrew Yang is here to win it 100%. It's happening. It is totally happening. All the pieces are there, and it's because the Yang Gang, and I love this. There's articles coming out this week saying that like Yang Gang is what's doing it for Andrew Yang's campaign, and I love that because it is very like humanity first. It puts all of us together in solidarity. Like, this is our campaign. It's not just Andrew. Andrew is maybe the catalyst for this campaign, but it's all of us together, and it couldn't be a better person that is leading this whole thing. So Andrew, thank you for doing what you're doing and for stepping up and actually running for president. How scary would that be? Like, I just like try to think about putting myself in your shoes, and it's scary and crazy and strange and bizarre, and I'm glad that you're having fun doing it. So if you happen to see this video, I just know that that I'm very thankful, and I'm happy to volunteer the time that I have into this campaign, and I'm just hoping that it makes a difference, and I feel that it has already. So I feel vindicated, and I feel like it's definitely worth all the time that I put into it. But yeah, for everybody that is watching, thank you for watching my video, and for all the likes and comments that you guys leave. Thank you, and keep doing the thing for Andrew. Keep telling people about Andrew Yang, and trying to get people to caucus and to primary for Andrew. Like, that's the number one thing. If there's two things I can ask of you or of anybody, it would be, one, to share the message of Andrew Yang and who he is and what he's trying to do, and two would be to get people to caucus and primary for Andrew, because that without that, we will not make it to the general election. So we have to get to the general, so we have to win the primaries, we have to win the caucuses, we have to get that DNC nomination, and it's going to happen. But like I said earlier in the video, like, it's going to take a lot of hard work, and we can't just like sit back and expect it to happen, because if we all just sit back, nothing's going to happen. It's not. It's going to take every single one of us to just like have that drive, to have that motivation, and to actually do something for it. So everybody can contribute in their own way. Just figure out how you can fit into that, and what you can do to best help the campaign with your situation. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Please support Andrew Yang.
Yeah.
Number one.